Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new movie The Beekeeper, and this movie mainly starred Jason Statham, Emmy Lampan, Josh Hutcherson, Bobby Narderi, and of course Jeremy Irons and David Witz. And I was actually very surprised with with the way that this movie ends up going. I was under the impression that this was simply about a character who obviously would have been betrayed by Jason Statham, who was literally a beekeeper. But turns out that there's actually more to this story than what meets the eye. Now, I did figure that Jason Statham's character would have some form of military or special ops training, just because this is a Jason Statham movie, and so I figured that this was just going to be a pedal to the metal action film, which it is. It absolutely is a pedal to the metal action film, but it's just I was not expecting some of the twists and turns that this movie had in terms of the actual beekeeping itself. It turns out that the beekeepers are a little bit more than just literally being a beekeeper. It actually turns out that it's sort of like this special agency, which is sort of has the where in which the beekeepers sort of have the authority to basically do whatever they want under their own judgment. They would not be penalized. They would be allowed to make the judgments and make the calls, and pretty well have access to unlimited resources. So Jason's character in the movie is known as Adam Clay, but I was under the impression that maybe Adam Clay might not have even been his real name. It might have been just an alias name that he was using at this point in time, because I think there was one moment towards the end of the movie where he sort of alludes to the idea where maybe Adam Clay is not actually his name, so I'm not really 100% sure, but for the purpose of this review, we'll say his name was Adam. And so in terms of the story, this is not a movie that's going to win all kinds of rewards. This is absolutely a forgettable story. It's literally as simple as Jason Statham's character Adam knows somebody and something really bad happens to this person, and so he takes it upon himself to seek a revenge against the people that did it. And that's literally the whole movie in a nutshell. Something bad happens to someone he knows, so he uses his resources as a retired beekeeper to go basically full force against this group of individuals who did his friend wrong. Now, Emmy Lampan and Bobby Naderi, they portrayed basically FBI agents, special agents known as Verona Parker and Agent Matt Wiley. And I actually really liked them in the movie, especially Emmy Lampan's character. I thought she did a great job with her character. I really loved her performance with her being the special agent. She was sort of like the morals to the movie. She had the morals, but she also had the law. So like she stood behind law enforcement, but she was the good cop. You know what I mean? Some movies got like bad cops, so they still work under the law, but they're corrupted and whatnot. But in this case, her character, Emmy's character, was very much, a person of the law, but she did believe in the law. She was a good person. She had good morals, and she was willing to, do the right thing, so to speak. Bobby Naderi's character was also basically someone who was a cop who also was a good cop. He wasn't a bad cop. He was a good cop. And so, because of Jason Statham's, because of his actions in the movie, it really makes them, really, sort of walk that line between doing what's right versus what the law allows you to do. In fact, at the very end of the movie, Jason's character Adam, literally says that to Agent Verona, Emmy's character. He literally says, you have to choose between the law and justice. So, they do a really good job at making those two FBI agents really walk that line, because you have Adam, who's sort of acting on his own, obviously doing things that are very illegal. He's hunting down and killing, and in some cases even torturing some of these bad guys. But at the same time, the people that he's doing it to are people that, probably deserve it. He's kind of like a Dexter, except more explosions, more outgoing. He's like a special ops version of Dexter, basically, so to speak, because he's acting revenge on these people that have been, like I said, did ill wrong to one of his really good friends. Now, Jeremy Irons in this movie portrays a character known as Wallace Westfield, and he also is sort of well, he is sort of on the bad side. Like, he's not a good guy. He does work with the bad guys, but at the same time he makes sense. He's reasonable. He's not someone who's just straight up evil. He's someone who just wants to make a lot of money, but he still understands the way the world works. He still understands the way of the law, and he doesn't always agree with his with his employee, we'll say, the person who actually is the main bad guy of the movie. So even though he works with him, he don't necessarily fully agree with him, and but he also knows the way of the world, and he's very realistic, but he's also not stupid. He's very smart. He oftentimes basically looks at the bad guy and he's like, listen, you messed up the bed. Now you got to get in it. Now you got to make your own bed. Essentially saying to the bad guys that you made an enemy of this beekeeper, which was Jason Statham's character. So now you got to deal with it, basically. And there's once you watch the movie and learn this way of the beekeepers and see the way that these people work, these special ops work, you realize very quickly that this is not somebody that you want knocking or kicking in your front door. Now, what I didn't really like was that there were some really cool scenes in here where Adam is taking, as the movie goes on, it really escalates, right? It goes from Statham's character Adam taking on just security guards to then eventually moving up and taking on police, to then moving up and taking on military, special ops, secret service. As the movie goes on, it just keeps growing and escalating more and more and more. So, like I said, in terms of the story, this is absolutely a movie you're going to forget about. This is not a good story. This is not going to win any rewards or awards or anything like that. But what I will say is that, it's January. You never really get any big blockbuster hits during this time of year. And if you want to see a really cool movie with Jason Statham just going in and, pedal to the metal, just, reaping through a ton of different people, whether it's military, secret service, bad guys, cops, he's just going through everybody. So if you're going in there just to have a good time, to see a good action movie, this really is a really good action movie, but it doesn't have a good story. This is not something like The Mechanic. I was a big fan of his movie, The Mechanic. This is not like The Transporter. This is not like The Expendables, but it is still a very good action movie if you go in there under the impression that this is only an action movie. So basing this on only an action movie, I would say this was a 60% movie. I would give it a 60%, but like I said, in terms of story, this was not a great story. There was pretty well no story, really. The little bit of a story they give was really just used as motivation for Jason's character to rip through everybody and just go on this pedal to the metal all-out revenge mission, which was very satisfying to see. And he does kill people sometimes in very creative ways, and I was able to appreciate that as well. So anyways, folks, that's my review of The Beekeeper. Let me know in the comments section below if you've seen it, and if you'd like to tell me why or why not. If you like this video, click that subscribe button, and until the next one, take care.